Hey, welcome back NFL DFS fans. This is the lineup show. I am your host, and I'm going to go over the Sunday main slate for you guys and take a look at some of these matchups for you and tell you the players that I like this week. And I got to be honest, there are a lot of quarterbacks that look good this week, but the ones I like the most are actually the cheaper salaried quarterbacks. Couple of them. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start off by looking at Josh Allen, who obviously has been playing good this year. He's averaging 24.2 fantasy points a game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 21st against the quarterback and 24th against the pass. That is who Josh is playing this week, and I expect him to have a good game, possibly a great game. But I don't want to pay $7,000 salary for him when I think there's better options that are cheaper. Lamar Jackson, another option for you guys. I hate the matchup. I really do. The Cleveland Browns are 5th against the quarterback this year and 2nd against the pass. And that just sounds almost wrong to even say. But their defense has done really well this year, fantasy-wise, at least. And I think, honestly, overall, they definitely have lost some games. But with that said, Lamar Jackson, when they played in week 2, put up 26.3 fantasy points against that defense. So I realize it's week 10. They're not the same teams they were in week 2, but it's the Browns and it's Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson's going to put on a show this week. But I don't want to pay up for him when I don't expect him to be one of the top quarterbacks this week. Patrick Mahomes playing my Broncos this week, and I don't think it looks well for him. I got to be honest with you. The Broncos are 2nd against the quarterback and 6th against the pass this year, and I don't think that the Chiefs are the same team that we've seen over the last few years. I know a lot of people are saying Denver can't beat Kansas City. Well, we're going to find out. It's in Denver, and I know the Chiefs had the last few years tended to honestly just dominate the Broncos. I think this year it's different. I think the Broncos are going to come out on top. I think they're going to win this game. Even though it's a divisional game for Patrick Mahomes, I think the Broncos are going to take this one. With that said, I don't want to pick him fantasy-wise. I do like Matthew Stafford this week. Seattle's 18th against the quarterback, 20th against the pass. But I expect this to be a game where the Rams need to pass, and probably a lot. Because Seattle's 3rd against the rush. I just think that it's probably going to be a shootout this game. And I think Stafford is going to play well. But again, I'm not looking to pay that much even for a quarterback because I don't think it's necessary. Not interested in Baker Mayfield this week. Not even going to look at his matchup. Justin Herbert. Playing the Jaguars, who are 30th against the quarterback, 28th against the pass. This is the first quarterback that I think I would be willing to pay up for this week. I'm not going to because I still like the options that are cheaper. But Herbert at Jacksonville, I think, is an incredible play this week. He's averaging 22.1 fantasy points a game and just a phenomenal spot. So yeah, with that said, I still don't think I'm going to pick him. Might have a lineup or two with him, but I doubt it. Bo Nix, man, I'd like to want to play him here, but I don't like the matchup at all. Kansas City's 12th against the quarterback, 7th against the pass. And honestly, he did not play very well last week. They won the game, thank God, but it was not pretty. Jordan Love is another quarterback I like quite a bit this week. Not going to play him, but I like him a lot. New York is 26th against the quarterback, 23rd against the pass. And the pressure's going to be off of him having to pass because New York's terrible against the run as well. Jackson Dart is injured. He's out of this game. So it just gives the Packers an advantage, and I think they'll be able to run a lot. So I don't know that I expect them to pass a lot, but it is what it is. Caleb Williams, when he played Minnesota in week 1, he got 24.2 fantasy points. And I realize, again, these are not the same teams as week 1 with injuries and everything else. But I think Caleb Williams could have a good game here. I don't expect it to be great because I really don't like the matchup. The Vikings are 15th against the quarterback, 8th against the pass. I don't love it, but seeing with what he did in week 1, I think he's capable against this team. Brock Purdy does not look pretty to me in this game. The Cardinals are 6th against the quarterback, 21st against the pass. He's coming back from injury. Of course, this is if he plays, but it looks like he's going to. Says he's in line to start this week. So, but I don't love it. Sam Darnold is in a spot here that I also don't love, but I do expect him to have to pass a lot. So that could be something. And guys, I've been looking at other quarterbacks. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to take a gander at Baker Mayfield because I've been looking at all the other quarterbacks, even with the bad matchups. The Bills are 4th against the quarterback, 3rd against the pass. That's why I don't have a desire to play him here. I just think it's going to be really tough sledding for him this week against the Bills. But hey, he is a very good quarterback, I think. So I think he's proven that, there's some games, maybe then it goes so great or go his way, but I do think he's a good quarterback. So I wanted to go back and go over him since I've looked at all these other quarterbacks that have bad matchups as well. And here's where we start to get to the quarterbacks that I really like this week, and that's Joe Flacco. And I don't know where this was with the Broncos, except that he doesn't have the stud receivers, or he didn't have the stud receivers with the Broncos that he has with the Bengals. But Joe Flacco has played lights out the last 3 weeks. In week 9, he got 36.7 fantasy points against Chicago. And when he played Pittsburgh in week 7, he got 29 points. That was in Cincinnati. Now they're going into Pittsburgh. But it's the same team, maybe minus some injuries and things. It's the same team they're playing, and I love the matchup. The Steelers are terrible against the quarterback in the pass this year. They're 27th against the quarterback, 32nd against the pass. I think Joe Flacco is going to ball out again. I think he's going to have a great game. And I think I might pick him this week. There's only there's actually a few more quarterbacks I like here. I actually don't recall looking at Aaron Rodgers yet, but the matchup is great. Bengals are 29th against the quarterback, 30th against the pass. But when they played in week 7, well, he got 24.6 fantasy points in week 7. I think Aaron Rodgers is a good play there. I think, honestly, that's probably going to be one of his best matchups this year that I would play him in, personally. Because I haven't seen a whole lot from him thus far that I like. I'll just be honest with you. Mac Jones isn't starting, most likely, so we'll just go ahead and take a look at J.J. McCarthy, who is playing the Bears, who are 31st against the quarterback, 26th against the pass. When they played in week 1, and I realize it's not the same week, and he got injured and all this stuff and whatever, but he put up 23.2 fantasy points in that game and won that game. And I'm pretty sure that was the week that he made a pretty significant comeback and kept his composure to win that game. Trevor Lawrence, I don't like the matchup here. Terrible matchup. Chargers are third against the quarterback, fifth against the pass. And I think that the cheapest option here that I really like, I guess we'll take a look at some of the cheaper quarterbacks, but the one that I really like this week is Jacoby Brissett. And I might like Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers more this week, but I've kind of liked Jacoby Brissett for a few years now, and I think he can be a decent quarterback. I really do. And if you look fantasy-wise, he's proven that. The Cardinals haven't necessarily been winning. He's only won the one or two games for them this year, but take a look at his fantasy points. Week 10, 21.4. Week 9, 24.8. Week 7, 20.8. Week 6, 24.7. This week he's playing the 49ers, who are 24th against the quarterback and 22nd against the pass. I would be surprised if he does not get 20-plus fantasy points this week. And he's $4,900 salary. I just think he's a good play this week. He's one of my favorites this week. I know that might upset some of you. I just look at what he's done the last 4 weeks. I don't think you can argue the facts there, but we'll take a look here. Davis Mills, I believe, is still starting for the Texans. Titans are 17th against the quarterback, 17th against the pass. I don't love his matchup this week, but he had a great game last week. And I had him in a lineup, and I took him out. And I should not have. Yeah, he put up 28.7 points last week, so great game for him. And then, of course, you have Gabriel. He's going to remain the starting quarterback, it looks like. He had 20.1 fantasy points against the Jets last week. Keep in mind, that was against the Jets. Baltimore's 23rd against the quarterback, 27th against the pass. I would think that he can have an okay game here. He played against them in week 2 and only had 4.8 fantasy points. But I don't think he played that entire game. I don't. I think that was probably when he first came in the season, it looks like, and I'm assuming he didn't play that whole game. With that said, I'm just going to give you a rundown really quick of my favorite quarterbacks again. To summarize the quarterbacks, it was Justin Herbert, it was Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, and Jacoby Brissett. Those are my favorite quarterbacks this week. I'm going to go ahead and throw in for right now, I think Joe Flacco. I think I really like him, and Brissett, probably my top 2 favorite this week. But I haven't even looked at the running backs yet, so we're going to take a gander at them together right now. You have Christian McCaffrey playing the Cardinals, who are 18th against the running back and 18th against the rush, and he is Christian McCaffrey, who's averaging 25.5 fantasy points a game. That's incredible, and I don't think that you can really count him out in any game, but the Cardinals, when they played in week 3, he was able to put up 24 points against them. So if it's anything similar, if anything, I feel like he might get more usage now with his quarterback coming back from injury and everything. I don't know that for a fact. I think he's a great play, but he's $9,000 salary, which I don't think I want to pay up for. I'm sure there's some cheaper options, but I expect him to do good. You have Bijan Robinson playing Carolina, who he put up 16.1 fantasy points against in week 3. Carolina is 16th against the running back and 17th against the rush. I don't love that. I do think I like Josh Jacobs' matchup here quite a bit. I can tell you right now, New York's 31st against the running back and 31st against the rush. I expect him to run all day on New York. I just expect him to have a big game this week. Look at a Cook. I don't love this necessarily. Well, yeah, I do. What am I talking about? Well, I'm going back and forth here. They're 23rd. I was looking at that 24th against the pass, thinking it was against the rush. Tampa Bay's 23rd against the running back, 11th against the rush. But Cook does also get some receptions as well, so not as many as I thought he had gotten this year, but he's gotten plenty of targets. Last week he had 5 targets and 5 receptions. He's averaging 19.8 fantasy points a game. He's had some big games, one huge game for that matter. He's not my favorite this week, but I could definitely see you playing him. Bucky Irving looks like he had a good matchup if he was playing, but looks like it's going to be White that's going to get the good matchup. Kyron Williams didn't have as good a game last week as I was hoping. Seattle's 12th against the running back, 3rd against the rush. I do not like that matchup. I don't. I don't love it. Rico Dowdle, he's just been playing like phenomenal this year. Carolina's 28th against the running back, 29th against the rush, and they're 1st against the pass. So it's going to have to go through him and Chuba Hubbard. It's just going to have to this week. When they played in week 3, he only got 10.8 fantasy points. But since then, he has really stepped up his game. I don't know how much he's going to get compared to Chuba Hubbard, how much work. How many attempts did he have? The last few weeks, last week he had 18 attempts. The week before he had 25. Where's Chuba Hubbard? We're going to go down. We're going to find him. And we're going to compare. Here's Chuba Hubbard. He only had 3 rush attempts last week and 5 in week 9. It's clear that Rico Dowdle was the guy, I believe. Unless they're still keeping him on a snap count because of injuries, I think Rico Dowdle would be a good play here. But I played him last week thinking he was going to do better, and he did not. But he's in store for a good game this week. So Derrick Henry, I don't know what's going on here. Either they're not using him as much or he's just not doing as good. But I don't like him against Cleveland, who's 10th against the rush and 4th against the running back. When they played in week 2, he only got 2.3 fantasy points. So there's no way I'm playing him this week. Judkins, when they played in week 2, got 10.1 fantasy points. They're 25th against the Ravens are 25th against the running back, 20th against the rush. I don't love that spot either. Rachaad White, do we like him here? I do. The Bills are 27th against the running back, 30th against the rush. He's in a great spot. I haven't seen many points produced from him, and he's had some good matchups and everything. Bucky Irving's been hurt since week 4, so he's had opportunity to thrive, and I haven't seen it yet. So as much as I like his matchup, I don't think I'm going to play him. Jaylen Warren, I do like here. He put up 22.8 fantasy points in Week 7 against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's the worst in the league against the running back and the rush. So he's in a great spot. I definitely wouldn't mind playing him this week. I think so far he might be my favorite, except I like Josh Jacobs and Rico Dowdle quite a bit. Jordan Mason. Is Aaron Jones hurt again, guys? Okay, no, he's playing. He had 9 attempts last week. I was going to say, surely he didn't get hurt again last week, but no, he's good. So it looks like he's good anyways. He had 9 attempts in the last 2 games. He had 6 targets in the last game as well. Chicago's 19th against the running back, 25th against the rush. And did he play in that? Yeah, he played week 1. He got 15.7 fantasy points against them. With that said, I'm all over the place on this screen. I apologize. Yeah, it looks like Aaron Jones is the guy to go with, and he's a lot cheaper than Jordan Mason. They need to correct that, I feel like, but that's my own thoughts. But hey, at least you got an option down there, kind of cheaper, and Aaron Jones. Guys, I apologize if I've been pronouncing Vidal's name wrong. I'm going to go with Vidal because that's what Al Michaels and all these other guys are saying his name when they're broadcasting these games. I read online that it was Vidal. That's how you pronounce it. I still don't know. I've heard it like 3 or 4 different ways, but I'll go with Vidal just because that's what they keep saying in the games. I'm seeing a Vidal, not EL, so Vidal. I might say Vidal because that seems to make more sense, but they're saying Vidal, whatever his name is. He's had some good games, but he hasn't been doing as well as I want him to, and his matchup stinks this week, so I'm not going to play him. DeAndre Swift only had 9.5 fantasy points against Minnesota in week 1. Minnesota's 13th against the running back, 22nd against the rush, and he just hasn't played as well as I would like this year either. Chase Brown put up 15 points against Pittsburgh in week 7, and Pittsburgh's 11th against the running back, 14th against the rush. I don't love that either. Looks like there's a lot less running back matchups that I like compared to the quarterbacks. Definitely don't like that one. ETN Jr. Don't like Tracy's matchup here at all. I don't know why I even clicked on it. I like Woody Mark's matchup here. Titans are 29th against the running back, 27th against the rush. This would be a great spot for him. He had 14 attempts in week 10, 10 in week 9, and 8 in week 8. I'm sorry, 11 in week 8. What am I saying? 10 in week 7. So he's gotten some attempts and a few receptions or a few targets. He still has not had a game as big as week 4, where he put up 27.9 fantasy points, and that game just so happened to be against the Tennessee Titans, which is the same team he's playing this week. So I kind of like that a lot here, actually. Is he the guy for Houston? That's the question. Mixon is out. But they also have Nick Chubb, do they not? Or is he injured? I guess I need to keep up with it. Yeah, Nick Chubb listed at 4,700. Let's go down. and find him really quick. I want to see how much they're using him compared to... Yeah, he only got 5 attempts in Week 10, 11 attempts in Week 9, 17 in Week 8, however. But it looks like, for all intents and purposes, that Woody Marks is the guy, and I love the matchup. I love that play here, I think. I don't want to say I love it, because he just hasn't done much since that week, but he's averaging 9.7. But I like it. And for some reason, I could see an argument to play RJ Harvey in a game where Bo Nix might have to do some dump passes and what have you against Kansas City, but I don't like the matchup at all. For some reason, I could see this being a game where they dump pass to him a lot, but I don't like the matchup. Tony Pollard, definitely don't like this matchup. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. If you saw it on the screen, you saw it on the screen. But Kyle Monangai, you got Swift back. I don't see playing him. Pacheco's out against Denver, and it's a terrible matchup anyways. Guys, where are the good matchups? My goodness. You come down here, you got Tucker, the backup running back, or the number 2 running back, I guess, now for the Buccaneers. I guess he's number 2. Well, he's number 2 now that Bucky Irving's out. But I don't like that a whole lot. I apologize, guys. I need to kind of hurry. I feel like I'm wasting time here, but I'm trying to find a good running back to play. Let me know who you guys like in the comments, please, because I'm not seeing a whole lot of running back that I think is that great. I'm really only seeing like a handful of options that I like, and we will go back up and we will find those and we will play those, I guess. So I'm just gonna, let's say Warren for right now. I might like Rico Dowdle better and Josh Jacobs better. Was there a cheaper option that I liked? There was only the one, and it was Woody Marks. And I think I'm going to throw him in here for fun. He's not expensive. So far, we got a lot of salary on the table for wide receivers and tight end. We got a lot left. Jackson Smith and Jigba against the Rams. I can see that being a necessary play for them. I think they're going to have to pass to him. And he's just been playing great this year. He's averaging 24 fantasy points a game. I don't love the matchup. The Rams are 19th against the wide receiver, 19th against the pass. But I think he could have a really good game against the Rams. Jamar Chase, who put up 41.1 fantasy points against Pittsburgh in Week 7. Even though it's in Pittsburgh, I think he's going to ball out. Pittsburgh is the worst in the league against the wide receiver, 32nd against the wide receiver, 32nd against the pass. There's no way I don't play him with Joe Flacco here. Puka Nacua, I think, also could have a great game this week. I don't like the matchup per se, but Seattle's 9th against the wide receiver, 20th against the pass. And he's Puka Nacua, averaging 23.5 fantasy points a game. I just think they're gonna have to use him, I feel like, if they want to win. Rashee Rice, I don't like at all against the Broncos. Not loving Devontae Adams here if he's questionable, and I already don't like his matchup. Yeah, don't like that. Justin Jefferson definitely has a good matchup against the Bears. Bears are 28th against the wide receiver, 26th against the pass. What did he do in week 1 when they played each other? He got 14.8 fantasy points. Justin Jefferson has not done as well this year as I think he should, and I don't blame him for that. I think it's a team effort that has caused him to not do as well, but he's still playing decent. Don't like Drake London here, I don't believe, against Carolina. He only got 10.5 fantasy points against them when they played the last time. Egbuka, man, what a game last week. 26.5 fantasy points against New England. I don't expect that against the Bills this week. Don't like the matchup. Nico Collins, I do like the matchup. However, in week 4 when they played Tennessee, he only got 11.9 fantasy points. Tennessee is 23rd against the wide receiver, 17th against the pass. I don't love that. I do like Ladd McConkey here. I think this is a great week for Ladd McConkey, and obviously I was wrong for not playing him in the showdown game last week, which without mentioning McConkey being the issue of not playing him, somebody had mentioned in a comment how that lineup didn't win anything, and he was right. It did not. I did better in the morning game, I believe, last week. I actually did really well in that game, but I didn't do a high-paying contest. I did a low-paying one. Could have made some money, I guess, maybe if I did a higher paying. I just did a real cheap contest, but I did really well in it. Zay Flowers, I don't like it. 14.9 when they played last time. Don't like the matchup. Right, 14.9 against Cleveland. Yep. Don't like that. Odunze, week 1 had 15.7 fantasy points against Minnesota. Don't expect much more than that now, just due to the matchup. Don't like Brian Thomas Jr.'s matchup. T. Higgins, what did he do when they played? He had 21.6 in week 7 against Pittsburgh. I almost want to play him this week as well. I think I like Jamar Chase and Higgins. Don't like Sutton in this game. Marvin Harrison Jr. out this week against San Francisco's 21st against the wide receiver, 22nd against the pass. I think they're going to have to rely probably on Trey McBride. I haven't seen the matchup, but they just need someone to catch passes. And with that said, I told you I like Brissett this week, and I do. However, with Harrison Jr. out, that might change that a little bit from my expectations for Jacoby Brissett. Hopefully he still has some people he can pass to. I told you Aaron Rodgers I think will do well, and I think he will, but DK Metcalf only got 8 fantasy points in week 7 against Cincinnati. He's got a decent matchup on paper. The Bengals are 16th against the wide receiver, 30th against the pass, but I don't like him here because of what he did in the last game for sure. Jordan Addison in week 1. Actually, he did not play in week 1, so I can't tell you anything about that other than he didn't play. The Bears are 28th against the wide receiver, as we said, 26th against the pass. I like Jordan Addison this week and this year in general. Robinson with Jackson Dart out. Wan'Dale Robinson, that is, with Jackson Dart out. I don't like this week against Green Bay. Don't like the matchup. Don't like Troy Franklin. Ricky Pearsall, I think could be a good play this week. Cardinals are 18th against the wide receiver, 21st against the pass. Let's see. He got 22.7 fantasy points in week 3 against Arizona. As long as he's healthy, I think he could have a good game here. Keenan Allen, obviously we like the matchup there. I think starting to like McConkey more. I think they're starting to use him more, to be honest with you. I don't like Shakir here. I don't hate his matchup. Buccaneers are 20th against the wide receiver, 24th against the pass. I don't hate the matchup. I just don't think they've used him as much as they can't. I mean, they don't need to. I mean, Buffalo spreads the ball around, and they do good doing that. So, Jennings against Arizona. Did he play in that game? No, it does not look like he played in the Arizona game this year due to injury, I believe. And not Carolina, guys. The Cardinals are 18th against the wide receiver, 21st against the pass. So I can see Juwan Jennings having a good game. And Kendrick Bourne, possibly. I won't look at Kendrick Bourne's matchup because we just looked at it with Juwan Jennings. But don't like Parker Washington here, though. He's having an okay year, decent-ish year. It's okay. He's only averaging 9.5 a game. But Romeo Doubs, I don't know why he's priced so low, but I think this is a great opportunity for him. Except I expect them to run more in this game. But New York's 26th against the wide receiver, 23rd against the pass. He's averaging 11.7 fantasy points a game. That's probably why he's so cheap. But he's definitely the best option, I think, for the Packers. Although Watson's back, so that does help them. Quentin Johnston, I think, could do well in this game. Any of the Chargers receivers, it's frustrating how good they all are, and you have to pick between the three of them. That gets annoying, but any one of them I could see you playing, and it would be good. Guys, I apologize for going. I feel like I'm going really long on this video, but I'm going to try to wrap it up here soon. There's just a lot to cover. Rashid Shaheed, I think could be a decent option this week, but I don't love it. He just hasn't done enough for me. He did have that one big game in week 5, but I don't love it. Don't like Worthy here. There's not a lot of receiver options that I like in this week, guys. There's not. There's tons of quarterback options. I like Watson's matchup. Like to see more from him. Jerry Jeudy just hasn't done what I want him to this year, and he only had 9.1 fantasy points against Baltimore in week 2. I don't like it. Kendrick Bourne, I think, could be an option against Arizona. Did he play? He did play in that last one, but he only got 3 fantasy points in that game against Arizona. So I'm going to try to wrap up these receivers. I think we've looked at enough. Yosivach, maybe. He had 7.9 against Pittsburgh in week 7. Yosivach, if I'm saying his name right. Yeah, there are not a lot of options down here that I like. I'm sure there's some cheap ones if I really dig deep, but for the sake of time on this video, I'm not going to. I really like Jackson Smith and Jigba here, so I might end up playing him. Think I'm going to play. I was looking at Nico Collins, except for what he did in week 4 against Tennessee. I don't like it, so I don't want to play him. I'm going to play Higgins and Chase, and I am going to play either Pearsall or Addison, I believe, or maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba. Very tempted to play him here against the Rams. In fact, I think I'm going to, since we've saved some salary. Does that leave a whole lot here? Let's get through these tight ends, guys. I think Trey McBride's going to have to be relied on heavily in this game. When they played San Francisco in week 3, he had 15.3 fantasy points. 49ers are 18th against the tight end, 22nd against the pass. I think it's a good matchup for him. I don't know if I think it's a great one. I think the matchup is okay for Kittle. Cardinals are 17th against the tight end, 21st against the pass. I know people are saying that it's against Denver, that Travis Kelce will probably do good. I don't think he will this week. Gadsden, I could see Gadsden having a really good game this week. Jacksonville is 31st against the tight end, 28th against the pass. I think I might play him this week. Kincaid is out, so you got a Dawson Knox really cheap, but I don't like the matchup. Theo Johnson had a pretty decent game last week. Not a great one. Don't expect it to be that great this week. I don't love the matchup. I do like Kyle Pitts' matchup. He only got 7.9 fantasy points against Carolina, though, previously this year. Carolina's 24th against the tight end, so he could do something. Schultz only got 8 points against Tennessee in their previous game this year. He's got an okay... Is it okay? He's got an okay matchup. It's really on the unpreferred side of matchups that I would choose from. Fannin Jr., I don't like it. He had 9.8 against Cleveland at the beginning of the year. Or I'm sorry, against Baltimore. I don't love it. Musgrave, because Tucker Kraft is now out. For the Packers, he's going to be the guy, but New York's 13th against the tight end. I don't love that either. I'm not seeing a whole lot of options that I like in positions other than the quarterbacks, I feel like. Noah Fant had 14.4 fantasy points against Pittsburgh in Week 7. Pittsburgh's 28th against the tight end. I think he could have a big week. Freiermuth in that Cincinnati game at 31.1 fantasy points, 6 targets. The Bengals are 32nd against the tight end. I definitely could see that. Don't hate Barner's matchup, but I don't love it. Let's see, what did Jonnu Smith, not Jawan Thompson. Jonnu Smith had 11.8 fantasy points in Week 7 against Cincinnati. Tyler Higbee, I like the matchup. Seattle's 30th against the tight end. He only averages 6 fantasy points a game. I don't love it. What did Darnell Washington do against... He had 9.2 fantasy points against Cincinnati. So I think if you pick a Pittsburgh tight end, you're probably safe this week. And I think it makes me want to pick Pat Freiermuth, but I don't expect him to get as many points as he did the last time. And they just have so many tight ends they can throw to. I think I almost like Noah Fant better, and I think I like Gadsden maybe better. That is only because there's so many tight ends to go with. Freiermuth might be the incredible play to pick. I just don't know that I see him replicating that game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the defenses, and then we'll pick our flex. So Baltimore's got a great matchup. Cleveland, they got 15 points on Cleveland in Week 2. Cleveland's 31st against the defense. The Texans have a fantastic matchup against Tennessee, on whom they had put up 14 points in Week 4. Tennessee is the worst in the league against the defense, 32nd in the league, and the Texans, I believe, averaged the most fantasy points besides the Seahawks. The Seahawks, I guess, averaged the most, but 9.8 fantasy points is great. I like Texas a lot here, actually. or the Texans, excuse me. Should have said Houston, I guess. But the Packers, because Jackson Dart is out, I like the Packers here quite a bit. New York's 21st against the defense. But the Packers have only been averaging 5 fantasy points a game. Atlanta against Carolina is a good matchup. They only got 3 points when they played them earlier this year. San Francisco against Arizona. They got 5 when they played each other. And San Francisco's only averaging 3.5 this year. That's kind of crazy. Cincinnati against Pittsburgh. They got 10 against Pittsburgh in week 6. I'm sorry. That was against Cleveland. That was Cleveland at Pittsburgh, and I should have been looking at week 7 where they got 1 fantasy point. So no, I don't like the Steelers. I could have told you that because I'm playing a bunch of Cincinnati players, but for some reason I thought that I looked at the wrong week, okay? Don't like the Bills here. Definitely don't like, well, I was going to say I definitely don't like the Chiefs here, but the Broncos offense did not play well last week. As much as I like the Broncos, they looked pretty bad, honestly, on offense. But I expect them to do better this week. The Rams at Seattle. What am I thinking for the Rams at Seattle? I'm sorry, the Seattle at the Rams. But home game for the Rams, I don't think they're going to do that great. I really don't. Just from the matchup that I'm seeing. Los Angeles against Jacksonville, I don't hate that one. Chicago at Minnesota. They got 11 points against Minnesota in week 1. Not bad. Panthers and Atlanta. Let's just see what they did against Atlanta when they played before. They got, all right. This was that huge game from the Panthers. They got 22 fantasy points against Atlanta in week 3. Now, do I think they're going to replicate that? No, I don't. I honestly don't hate the Broncos here. I think the Broncos could really handle, on defense, the Kansas City Chiefs this year. But we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm going to play them because there's other teams that I like better. Cleveland against Baltimore, they had negative points, -1 in the previous game against them. So there you have it. I have like 2 defense I like this week. It seems like there was really only good quarterback options this week. I know I said that already, but I'm saying it again. The only defense I think I really like this week is the Texans. Maybe 1 or 2 other ones. And that leaves us with this dilemma. We only have 1,300 not fantasy points, 1,300 salary remaining. And this is going to end our video finally. I apologize for going so long, guys. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fade away from Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I do think could be a terrible idea. But we just need the salary cap. I'm tempted to play Addison. I'm tempted to play McConkey and Pearsall. We're going to go with Pearsall because he's the cheapest of the options. That would leave us with 4,800, which would be enough for who? Who else would we want at 4,800? Honestly, I'm thinking probably a tight end at this point. Maybe a Kendrick Bourne. Don't think that I want to play him. For the sake of time, I'm just going to throw in probably the first good player that I see here. There are obviously always cheap options that you can scroll through and try to find. Don't mind Christian Kirk, his matchup. He only got 5 points when they played previously this year. However, I don't think that I'm going to play him. And I'm not even seeing... I'm just... Let's just throw Freiermuth in there for fun. It's not exactly what I want to do. I don't believe, because I don't think he's going to replicate what he did the last time these guys played. But at least it gives you a complete lineup to look at. I might try to get Jackson Smith and Jigba back in here somehow. Although I do like Ricky Pearsall there. I guess the one I don't love is Freiermuth, and I guess there's no reason for it. I don't typically like playing 2 tight ends. But a lot of times 2 tight ends works. I mean, if he puts up 31 points like he did last time, that would make sense. But I also like Jackson Smith and Jigba a lot here. So anyways, guys, these are the players I like the most. And I think you got some good cheap options this week. So, hey, I wish you the best for your lineups. I appreciate you watching. And if you stuck through this far, hopefully you liked it enough to subscribe. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate those of you that are subscribed for sure. And any new subscribers. And also, I wish you the best for your lineups, no matter who you are. So thank you so much. Have a good week, guys.